Quick preface, these are just my acting predictions. If you want to see my Best Picture, Best Director, and Screenplay predictions, you can go and check out the video I posted last week after you finish this one.
Let's talk about lead actress now. Jessie Buckley is gonna win. That's just gonna happen. That performance is so good. It is honestly like untouchable. But aside from Jessie Buckley, I do have two other people that I see as locks. Cynthia Erivo is definitely going to get nominated. At this point, I think her and Ariana Grande are a package duo. If one is getting nominated, then the other is going to get nominated. Here, that is no different. Both of them will be nominated for their acting categories. Renée Reinsve is also going to get nominated for Sentimental Value. That performance is excellent. It is one of the best performances of the decade, in my opinion. But I think that this movie is going to pick up quite a few acting nominations and will be getting that recognition because it brings in Hollywood talent, but is still like a foreign film. It is still an international film made in a style that like you don't see in Hollywood. So you have performances like this that are just super strong, and I'm so glad that she has a chance to get nominated because she's just such a good actor. And after that, I do have Rose Byrne, like just a tier down. I think more likely than not, she will be getting nominated for If I Had Legs, I'd Still Kick You. But I just think it's a little bit less likely than the first three. Another fantastic performance. I mean, seriously, like this is such a strong acting category this year, especially between Buckley, Byrne, and Reinsve. I think that those three are so phenomenal in their movies, and the Academy will probably recognize Byrne. I mean, they got A24 behind that film. I think it might be a similar case to The Whale, where like for the most part, like the acting nomination is what carries the movie. Maybe it'll get a technical, like who knows, but Rose Byrne will like hopefully, really hopefully, get recognized. With this fifth spot though, I think things are really interesting. I see four actors that are all like really tightly competing for this award. Currently sitting at fifth, I have Amanda Seyfried. I think that if Testament of Anne Lee gets in the picture, she probably has to get into lead actress. But you never know. If Testament doesn't work out, then she might not get lead actress. But also, like, Testament could just be right on, like, that number 10 spot. And then maybe she ends up being at, like, the number 6 spot for lead actress. Below her, I have Emma Stone. Emma Stone is just so good in Begonia. Like, you have to consider her for this award. Her performance is just off the charts. Her and Yorgos are such a good director-actor pairing, and the Academy clearly loved them with Poor Things and could shower them with love again by nominating Emma Stone for Begonia. But since Begonia is just a really different feeling like film than Poor Things was, I think it's less likely. After that, I have Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, which is that music like biopic movie that she's doing with Hugh Jackman, coming out on Christmas. I don't know much about this film, but I've heard that her performance is really powerful and emotional and just overall excellent. So I have her here. And then lastly, we have Chase Infinity. I don't really think that Chase Infinity is at the level of these other three in terms of like screen time, in terms of like what she has with her performance. I think that she gave a really good performance in One Battle After Another, but she wasn't like the center of that film. But if One Battle is just so beloved by the Academy, she could totally like sneak in with a nomination for that film. It's a really good performance, a fantastic debut, and she was honestly just such a great casting find, and I can't wait to see like the projects that she gets to do next. And then after them, another tier down, I have Sydney Sweeney, who I hope she does not get nominated. I think that at this point, I think Sydney Sweeney is a horrible person, and essentially had a press tour for Christie that stood, like, where she stood for so much that the type of people that would want to watch the Christy Martin movie, like, do not stand for whatsoever. And I think that she was just, in terms of who she is as a person, a poor choice to play Christy Martin. She does not deserve a nomination. I think her performance is really solid, but I don't want that nomination happening whatsoever. I also just think that based on the not great box office of Christie, like historically bad box office, most likely that nomination is not happening either. Then I have Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love. It's a Lynn Ramsey movie, so I just think it's a little bit unconventional for the Academy, but her performance is supposed to be like fantastic, and I'm excited to check the film out. I just don't think it is necessarily an Oscar movie. And here we are with lead actor. Timothée Chalamet is my number one. I think this is the year that Leonardo DiCaprio passes the torch to him, like kind of officially. I just think it's so like telling that they will both get nominated for lead actor. That's gonna happen. And if Timothy beats Leo, I just think that that's such like a perfect like Hollywood just passing of the torch type of moment. So I just think this is a great chance for Chalamet to get that Oscar win from a movie that just doesn't have some ultra popular background, and that it is really him that is driving this film. But after him, I don't have Leo. I actually have Michael B. Jordan. I just think that Michael, like, playing both twin roles is really interesting and could lead some Academy voters to be like, yeah, he's playing two like really different people in this one movie and does a fantastic job playing both of them. He deserves this nomination and possibly winning. I definitely see that happening. I think this is one of Sinner's more likely Oscar wins, but unfortunately, there's Timothée Chalamet that is standing in the way. Leo I have as my number 3. His performance in One Battle After Another is really good, but it's just not doing anything like super different for his career. It's a very similar performance to what he gave in like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but like not as flashy. So if he did not win the Oscar for that movie, I just don't see him winning the Oscar for this movie. And then lastly, for my like pretty much lead actor locks, it's Wagner Moura, it's The Secret Agent. It's gonna play just so well for the international body of voters at the Oscars. I see this being a super likely nomination. You saw the same thing happen last year with Fernando Torres on a campaign that started later than The Secret Agent's campaign has. And then at number 5, a tier down, is Ethan Hawke, followed closely by George Clooney in the same tier. I think Ethan Hawke is just more likely with Blue Moon. Blue Moon seems to be a just really fantastic performance with like the film completely centered on him. It's like described as a acting showcase for Hawke. I can't wait to check it out, and I think it's gonna just be super, super interesting. And Hawke will probably get nominated, but then there is also George Clooney, who could be in the way. For a while, George Clooney was a frontrunner for this award, but then the reception for Jay Kelly was pretty mixed and medium. So Clooney has fallen out of the top 5. And now it's just like, oh, like what could happen? If it does pretty well on Netflix, then I think Clooney could step back into that number 5 role. If not, he'll probably fall farther down the list. For the next tier, I only have one actor, that being Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine. I think that like there is a world where he gets a nomination, but I just don't think it is that likely of a world. With the box office, this film did not do that well. It did not have like a lot of people flying to the movie theater to go and see Dwayne Johnson. There was none of that. It seems like it's a little too late in his career. Like this film has come a few years too late, where buzz for him as a movie star just no longer translates to seats in theaters and tickets purchased and all of that good stuff. So there's just not enough like popularity for Dwayne Johnson. The next tier down, I just have 3 more performances. You got Jesse Plemons for Begonia, fantastic performance, but there's just a lot of competition. And if Begonia remains on the outside for Best Picture and other awards, Plemons will probably remain on the outside as well. Then you also got Jeremy Allen White for Deliver Me From Nowhere, and that film just has not performed well whatsoever. The reviews are not great, so unfortunately I think he has just really fallen out of this race. And then there's also Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams. I don't see it being too likely, but if critic circles really start pushing this film, I will raise him on this list. Supporting actress. This is a really interesting category for me. I have 3 people that I see as pretty solid locks, and then a really interesting conversation about these final 2 slots here. In terms of my locks, I have Tiana Taylor currently at the as number 1, really because her first she dominates the first 20 minutes of One Battle After Another. It is her movie for that time, and she's excellent. She gives such a good performance, and I really see like a good chance of her winning, even though after that, she's no longer in the film. She's so good in those 20 minutes. And then you have Ariana Grande. Have not seen Wicked yet, but everyone's saying that this performance is better than the first one. And I think she was pretty close to probably winning supporting actress for the first one. And now it's a better performance coming in. So there's a pretty good chance for her. But I think because Wicked for Good seems to be getting lower reception than Wicked did, there is a good chance that she could get outdueled by Taylor. And then lastly, as another lock, I do think Amy Madigan for Weapons will get in here. She's just so good and like transformative in her performance. It's honestly like the highlight of Weapons, and I just think that the Academy will be able to sneak her in here. I think Warner Bros. Will most likely center its awards campaign for Weapons on her, and I do think that that will work. And now for this like 4-actor race into making it into these final 2 slots. In this order, I have Elle Fanning currently sitting at number 4. Great performance in Sentimental Value, just really strong, and is also like the only English speaker in this film. Stellan Skarsgård, for the most part, is not speaking English in this movie, so I think that that could resonate well with American voters, where they really get to feel her performance because they are speaking because she is speaking their language. And then I have Gwyneth Paltrow at number 5 for Marty Supreme, where even though like she's not said to give one of the best performances in this film, I think that Marty Supreme is just a really strong contender, and she could just kind of be carried along with this film as a result and land an Oscar nomination. But I think is really interesting is that I have like these 2 like more well-known actors for these 2 films at 4 and 5. After them, I have what I think are 2 better performances in those films. Like one, I believe, is a better performance. The other is said to be a better performance, but I do not know yet. But from lesser known actors, those being Inga Lilius for Sentimental Value, and then Odessa Azion for Marty Supreme. Inga, I think, gives a standout performance for Sentimental Value. I think she is more deserving of a supporting actress nomination. Love Elle Fanning, but Inga is just phenomenal here. And then Odessa Zion seems to be the person that is talked about in Marty Supreme right after Timothée Chalamet. Like, for the most part, whenever I am reading a review for Marty Supreme, it's like Timothée Chalamet, Timothy, Odessa Zion. I don't see a lot of mention of like Gwyneth Paltrow or Tyler the Creator or some of the other bigger names associated with this film. And then a tier down, I have Regina Hall for One Battle and Wunmi Mosaku, sorry if I butchered that at all, for Sinners. Both of them, like, they could get nominated, but I just think that they aren't as likely because they are like billed lower in their films and just don't get as much screen time to really stand out. And then lastly, I do have Glenn Close for Wake Up Dead Man. I have her like at the lowest like tier you could really be for like my Oscar predictions, but I think she's worth mentioning just because she gives a pretty standout performance, and it's Glenn Close. She's very beloved. You never really know. I just don't think it's that likely. Supporting actor, I am being stubborn. I know that Sean Penn has a lot of momentum for One Battle, but I'm going to stick to my guns of saying that Stellan Skarsgård should and hopefully will win for Best Supporting Actor. His performance is excellent, and I think that like once we get a little bit further removed from One Battle, you could just see like certain like possible wins for One Battle like go back to other movies. I think for the most part One Battle may sweep, but in terms of acting, it might be a little bit more difficult because there's just so much tough competition. Here it's Stellan Skarsgård giving the best performance of his career. But then yeah, Sean Penn is my number 2. Fantastic performance. Maybe the best performance of One Battle After Another. It is so good as Colonel Lockjaw. I can't even like describe all of the positive things coming out of his performance. A tier down, most likely to get in for supporting actor, but not 100%, is Paul Mescal for Hamnet. He plays Shakespeare, and he does a great job at playing Shakespeare. Similar deal with Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein. He plays Frankenstein. He does a great job at playing Frankenstein. I think they'll both get in, but like I would not be as shocked if one of them were snubbed. Then for that 5th spot, I have 3 actors competing who I think are pretty neck and neck, all a tier down. You have Benicio del Toro that I currently have taking the 5th spot. Great performance in One Battle After Another, but not as flashy as Delroy Lindo in Sinners, who I have following him. And then after that is Adam Sandler, who has not gotten an Oscar nomination yet in his career. This could be his time to get that nomination, but because of the more muted reception for Jay Kelly, that just might not happen. Then, a tier down, I have Jonathan Bailey for Wicked for Good. I did have Russell Crowe here until I found out that they are stupidly campaigning him for lead actor. Very unfortunate there, so disregard the fact that I have Russell Crowe. And then Miles Catton is also at this tier. I don't see him getting nominated over the likes of like Delroy Lindo, but fantastic performance. It's worth mentioning him, and just somebody else where I can't wait to see what he does next.
Thank you all for tuning in. Please let me know your own acting predictions in the comments down below. I'd love to have a conversation about it and hear your thoughts. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.